Yeah.
Welcome to the LightTwist Show, where we spotlight the most exciting builders and creators in virtual production, computer vision, and spatial computing. I'm Vikas Reddy, founder of LightTwist.
And I'm Phil Nelson, your co-host with the co-most, the second man who is second to none. I am also your plus one and only. And on today's show, we've got robots?
That is right. Our guest this week is Bradley Dillon, COO at Luxonis, who created the OpenCV AI Kit series of smart camera and the newly released robot, Ray, Robotics Access for Everyone on Kickstarter. And full disclosure, I'm actually an advisor in Luxonis and a small investor as well.
Let's get to know our guest a little bit better.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Bradley. Great to have you on here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How about just a quick introduction for the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Bradley Dillon, the Chief Operating Officer at Luxonis. I joined back in February, and it's been an exciting time. I guess I've been at Luxonis now 8-9 months, which feels about 2-3 years. That's about how like startup months translate to years.
Sort of like dog years.
Yeah, it's just like dog years, exactly. But yeah, I've been loving every moment of it. We're building something really cool here when it comes to these kind of robotic vision, robotic perception systems. And yeah, we've got an exciting lineup of stuff and new products that we're launching that we can talk about today.
We're super excited about that. And but first, I think we always do our standard 7 questions, including a replicant test. And so
never be too careful.
Yeah, let's start there. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions, Bradley?
I'm ready and willing.
Awesome. All right. So first question, what is on your desk?
On my desk, oh my gosh, I have all kinds of stuff on my desk. As you can see here, I have like a dozen of our products. And in front of me, I have just more products. So my desk is just littered with our products.
Do you have a Ray prototype as well?
I do, yeah, sitting right here. So
this
is the
thing.
one and only Ray here.
Wow.
Yeah,
you can see the
awesome.
front.
We'll be talking about that today.
Very cool.
Nice. Second question, what was the last TV show you watched?
The Crown. The most recent season just dropped on Netflix. So it's the 1990s when kind of Princess Diana's in the picture.
And what was your first job?
My first ever job was mowing lawns, which I did around the neighborhood. I begged people to get to mow and edge their lawns.
What did you charge them, if I can do a follow-on there?
The hourly rate was pretty killer. Fortunately, I was not charged for the depreciation of the equipment, thanks to my parents. So I think as a little kid, I think I was making like $15 an hour, completely under the table.
Wow.
It was killer.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a good number. If you were a cyborg, what would be your optimal machine to human ratio? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. I have no idea how to answer that.
Expressed as a percentage.
Yeah.
This is kind of a spooky question. I'm trying to think about like Westworld as a TV show. I'd say like I'll go 80% machine.
Ooh,
nice. Okay.
That's one of our highest ones ever, I think.
Yeah, that actually might be.
I like it.
I think maybe only Brad Sucks was higher because I think he said everything's got to go. Invisibility or power of flight, if you had to pick one of those two powers.
Ooh, I'd pick invisibility rather than power of flight for sure. I feel like I get to fly all the time on an airplane, so I don't feel held back there. Whereas invisibility, that'd be a whole new unlock.
And then, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay, awesome, great answer.
Strong answer.
Yeah. All right, so now we got to switch to a replicant test from Blade Runner here. And so you're in a desert walking along in the sand when all of a sudden you look down and see a tortoise. It's crawling toward you. You reach down and flip the tortoise on its back. The tortoise lays on its back, its belly baking in the hot sun, beating its legs, trying to turn itself over. But it can't, not without your help. But you're not helping. Why is that, Bradley?
Because I'm hungry and I'm not violent enough to kill my prey.
That's
awesome.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like the logical leap there. So I guess you're assuming you're hungry, but you're not actually you're not actually going over to like
stab
kill
it.
the tortoise
Like,
to
well,
like
but I mean,
to cook
wouldn't
it
it,
up.
the way he said it was sort of suspect because it sounded like he was guessing what a human might do.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, we'll give
Well,
it a we'll get.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in my head, I'm like, well, that I would, if the animal was suffering, I'd rather end its suffering if I needed to eat
Mm,
it. That's where I
I
was,
see. I see.
that's where I was doing some mental gymnastics.
I got you.
Okay, we'll give it a 50-50. But it's more of just a check. It's actually we're not against replicants here on the show.
We're
So
just gathering
if you
data.
were a
Like,
replicant,
yeah,
yeah,
we're not bigots.
it's like sort of like a survey. It's like a user survey.
Yeah, next we'll talk a little bit about the past, present, and future, of course.
Bradley, I guess just this end of last week or so, you guys just launched this new robotics platform. I've got it up on the screen here. Yeah, do you want to tell us about it, and I'll play this video here.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of you out there might know Luxonis for our first generation and second generation of products, which are called kind of like the Oak D, for example. And then we also have like an Oak D Lite.
AI kit. That's right.
That's where the name come from, exactly. And so what those devices are is they're these robotic perception systems, and they're usually paired with like a host, like a computer, a Jetson Nano, a Raspberry Pi, and then they're running kind of onboard artificial intelligence and computer vision. And what we're doing is we're launching a Series 3 of products, and there's two really exciting things about the Series 3. One is that it's actually running Yocto Linux, so it has the ability to be a host. So that means you can have it in kind of standalone mode. You don't have the requirement that you need to be kind of connected to something else.
Which is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first product that Luxonis has released where that's the case, isn't that so?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so we're really excited about being able to have that for our Series 3. Yeah. And then the other thing that we're rolling out commercially is this kind of new cloud and application layer called Robot Hub. And so that makes it so previously with our devices, if you really needed to understand what was going on with it, make improvements, kind of collect data from it, you were kind of having to go locally to it. And what this Robot Hub now provides us is that you could be an enterprise at scale and have thousands of these around the world, and you could access them remotely, stream the data, you can do A/B testing, but then you can also have applications that you run on top of that so that you can do useful things for your actual application. So when we were thinking about these two capabilities, host, and then that cloud application layer named Robot Hub, we're going like, how do we show our customers what this is all about? And we thought, well, we're not a robotics company, but how about we actually create our own robot? And when we do that, we can show people, hey, this is what you can actually do with this new capability for our Series 3 of products. And that's really where kind of the origin story of where Ray Robotic Access for Everyone came from.
Yeah, and I'll actually queue up this video here because it's an awesome overview here. Play this up here.
Yeah, and so you can see here in this video, which is pretty jazzy. So the device Ray that you'll receive come June when we're actually shipping them out, it has that Robot Hub that you download on your tablet or your smartphone, and then you can be up and running in minutes. And so this is where you're navigating around the house. You can see the picture-in-picture that there's also a rear camera in front along the front. Then you can do like autonomous mapping, so you can map your house. And then it's definitely around like learning and development, and even at a young age. So this is where it's playing like hide and go seek with your kids. It has a speaker and it has a microphone. And then you can set it up to do some pretty cool stuff around the home. So you can put it in like sentry mode. You can have it go, patrol around. You can prevent things like people, stealing things. It also has its own brain, so you can store different people's images. You can have it learn, your dog, your cat, things like that. But then you control your data. You can delete that at any time, and then you can see there on the tagline, people can play, learn, and then develop and grow with it.
Important question based on the rapid fire questions here. What percentage of the robot's brain is human?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. Is it okay to say 0?
I mean, if it's the truth, yeah.
Yeah, let's go with 0.
Live on Kickstarter now. Looks like you guys, I think, blew through the first like $20,000 goal. Yeah,
we were able to hit it in 8 minutes, which was great to see. Wow. And yeah, so we're really excited to have the 500 backers here. As you can see from having the prototypes here, we've already put in 6 months of R&D into being able to create this. So this is a fully functioning prototype that's here. You can kind of see the front back cameras.
Yeah, very low risk compared to other crowdfund type hardware things.
And if you notice from our previous campaigns, which is like the Oak D here and the Oak D Lite, these are both campaigns that we actually did ship. And so, unlike other ones out there, we're quite reliable. So we're gonna launch this product, whether we did it with Kickstarter or not. You can actually see it's already on our own website and our own shop as well.
That's awesome. Great. It's shipping. Looks like the early ones are shipping out in middle of next year or so.
June 1st is what they said.
Yeah, June 1st. So we hope to be able to hit that as usual. But that's when we should be getting these shipped out by.
It's a tough needle to thread. Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about the tiers for people that might be interested in backing this?
Yeah, definitely. So we're currently at the tier where the product is priced at $399. And for context, that's probably around what this thing's going to cost us. So as the finance guy at Luxonis, it's quite painful. But what we're really wanting to do is, lower the barrier to entry and make it so that there's a really low priced device that's under $500 in the market. So when we're selling this for retail later, we'll probably sell it for minimum $500. Could end up being higher than that. Cool. So right now, I think for the next 600 or so backers, maybe 700, you can get it for $399, and then the final price for the campaign will go up to $449.
Nice.
Yeah, so awesome. People can go right now. If they show up, they'll save $40 off the highest, or $50 off the highest tier, and they'll probably save themselves $200-300 or more on the final retail price. And with regards to the pricing, I think something that folks might not have full context of is it wasn't just a random idea to kind of sell these things at cost. Luxonis did this with the original Oak, essentially, where the margins were very thin in order to get it into as many people's hands as possible right away. And I really like that goal, and it's something that we really support at OpenCV as well in my other job as director of content and creative over there.
They're like, maybe walk us through some of the hardware that's on here, because there's a crap load of cameras and a bunch of different sensing. And so I think I'll scroll down here. I think there's a section here under the hood, so I'll play this up here.
Yeah, definitely. So I can speak through some of the hardware. So there's 5 cameras. So on the front you have a stereo pair for depth, and then you also have an IMX214 that's high resolution 4K. And then on the back you have another stereo pair for depth in the back. So 5 cameras there total. The product also has an IMU on it, has a microphone and a speaker. Like I mentioned, it's actually a microphone array, so it's 6 of them. And then on the bottom, there's like a programmable LEDs. And so you can kind of do like a Fast and the Furious type of options as the things moving around. And then for some of the kind of the internals, so there's 2 encoded wheels, and those have 2 separate motors. So that makes it so you can kind of turn on a dime. Nice. The prototype that you see there is actually only 2,000 milliamp hour battery, but we decided to bump that up to 5,000 milliamp hour. So that should give it about an hour of runtime. It takes about an hour to recharge. And then one of the easy things, if you're wanting longer life, is that you can just get like a 5,000 milliamp hour battery from Amazon for like less than $10 that you'd plug into your your iPhone. And luckily Ray can operate even if it's being charged, which is great. And then for some of the kind of the down to the silicon, so we have it's based on the Kimbay visual processing unit. So that's the kind of the 3rd generation of the Movidius coming from Intel that we have.
Yeah, that's the new stuff from Intel. This has to be one of the first products shipping with Kimbay inside, aside from Intel's own AI acceleration hardware, right?
Yeah, so we have some customers that have kind of jumped to the starting line of that development that are starting to ship some products now. And that's really kind of been on the custom side of things. And then if you go on our shop, we do have some of our system on modules, and then like a motherboard for testing that are available for Kimbay. And so those are people that are doing kind of some early testing. And then, commercially next year is when we'll have, kind of our Series 3 of products that will be, based on that Gen 3 from Intel.
So all these sensors, there's the Oh yeah, I think you mentioned this already, but there's also a little front panel LED as well, or like LED panel. Actually, what's the resolution on that front display?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's like it's around like zero point 0.8 inches. I forgot the exact number of
Nice.
pixel size there, but yeah, you'll at least be able to display some text on there, which is great
Yeah.
on that LCD screen.
Oh yeah.
So you can connect with the device with Unity, and so with Unity you can do simulation. Yeah, there's the video. So if you kind of pop that up, so this is an example, kind of like an education use case where you could, this is one of our Unity developers showing
cool.
Ray playing soccer 2-on-2. And I don't know if the video is going there, but
Oh yeah. Sorry.
okay.
Let me replay that here.
Okay, great.
Was that Gerard by any chance?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So he's Gerard's our simulation
Shout
lead.
out to Gerard Espona. Hey, bud.
Yeah, he's our resident Unity expert. So yeah, Gerard's great, and he was able to put this together as an example of what Ray can do. So you basically have like 2-on-2 soccer. You could program the devices to have red team, blue team, and then what's pretty cool if you go to about halfway through the video. And you can see then actually what the machine learning would look like. Yeah, you can say there. So this is where
Cool.
you would actually be able to go, okay, like how would we train Ray to be able to play soccer? And so this is where you could do like semantic segmentation. You would tell Ray like, hey, what's the target? Who's my teammate? Who's the opponents? And hopefully you get a nice greedy machine learning algorithm to go, okay, let's try to get the the ball in the other team's goal. And so this is pretty cool seeing kind of what that would look like in a simulation.
And how accurately is the simulation mapped to the real robot, in the sense that like is this showing like what the actual camera like field of view is, like what the cameras would actually look like from the vantage point of the robot in this position?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the camera is tilted up at, I think it's 30 or 35 degrees or so. So this would be like the exact kind of camera view that you'd have. So you'd be able to see the floor. But then you'd be able to see up and look quite a bit, right? So you can kind of see on the sample that I have, you can kind of see the angle, and then it'd be the exact view that we have. So yeah, it should be
That's awesome.
It should be pretty realistic for what the real world would look like.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then it's actually that's pretty awesome. And yeah, I mean, I would say like one of the things that I'm pretty excited about. I backed this project too because I was like one of the things that was always challenging as like a hobbyist, like, I've been in like the computer vision field, and like I love robots, and like, historically, most of the projects I've seen in robotics, that you're kind of in this choice between, you either go and try to hack together a bunch of different pieces yourself, and it's more expensive, it's harder to do, it takes a lot of time to like actually find all the right parts, like the right batteries, the right wheels, the right processing,
and higher risk too,
the right sensing. Yeah, you might break something, and like it's hard to kind of put all that together. Or you can go buy like something that's like either fairly expensive or fairly like constrained in like how open it is in terms of like hackability. And I think with Ray, what's awesome to me is like it's you guys have integrated all these different pieces together, and even at $500, it's like a very low price point relative to other stuff I've seen. And then it's still, as far as I can tell, like open source and like open for development. Like there's not really much that's like limited from a developer's perspective. Like I guess right now, like is it true that you can program pretty much every aspect of the robot if you want?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So pretty much most all of Ray that we're allowed to, at least, is open source. And so that's a big piece that we want to have. So there's a lot of robots on the market for education, and people that like roboticists use, that the capabilities are pretty limited. And so we wanted to make this so that it's a platform that you can really build and develop on. And that's really what Luxonis is all about, going back to our founding story, which is that these robotic vision systems, if you look at like what it looked like in the market 5 years ago, but also what companies are dealing with today, is that organizations are spending years and millions of dollars investments to just get kind of like one robotic vision system to work really well.
Just to bootstrap.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because you're piecing together these disparate systems, and it's the same pain points that like the hobbyists have over the weekends, being like, "Oh my gosh, this is so difficult to get working." And so
Yeah.
that's really our goal is to I guess one word for it would be like commoditizing the entire stack, but it's not really it.
Yeah.
It's really about like making it so that it's accessible and easy for all. Just
Yeah.
really lowering the barrier to entry. We want to make it so that there's kind of open up all new kinds of like markets and capabilities for what these types of systems can do. And so like a price point is a big part of that, but then also just like really it just being easy to use. And so the for our Series 3 products in particular, the ease of use is really going to improve when it comes to Robot Hub. And so that's where you're going
Yeah.
to have a lot of applications in there that are just going to be free and available to you, and you can just be deploying them right away. And then you'll also be able to have new applications that you can create in an easy to develop with platform.
I guess you can run some stuff in the cloud and sort of interact with Ray, but you can also run your own apps that you actually deploy directly onto the robot itself now, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
you can run something like that locally, and but you also can have something that's running with Robot
Yeah,
Hub on
cloud.
the cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's running like a full. It's I mean maybe slightly smaller version of Linux with Yocto Linux, but it's running a full Linux. It's got an ARM. I guess like yeah. Actually, how many ARM cores does that processor have?
It's a quad ARM 853.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay, awesome. I've programmed that one for in a headset context in the past. So yeah, pretty. So it's got like probably two big cores, two little cores. So you can probably do even some nice multi-threading there. Or like
Yeah, I think it's 1.5
stuff.
gigahertz. Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Sweet.
It looks honest. Like, what do you hope this? How do you hope to see this like grow? Like, is it? Do you want to keep? Like, do you see yourself building more and more versions of this robot, or is it more just a way for you to show like kind of this cohesive platform? Yeah, I guess like is there a chance that that Luxonis just becomes a robotics company in some ways?
Yeah, it's something we've had a lot of good debate about. I think it's pretty clear to us and myself that no, we're not trying to become a robotics company. There's a lot of companies that are out there that are developing robots that really solve a particular need when it comes to like all different types of industries and applications. The reality is that when you look at a robot like Ray, like we're not actually solving any kind of like real world problem, right? Like we're not saying like, oh, this is the best option in the world to do X,
Yeah,
Y, Z at your house, right? Like we're not saying
right,
like, oh, this robot's going to trounce the capabilities of like an Amazon Astro that's going to come out or whatever.
right,
But
right.
what we're really trying to do is we just want to demonstrate that for the people out there that are developing robots, that you have a platform with Luxonis that can be kind of the de facto platform that you go to be able
Yeah,
to do your vision systems. In a lot of cases, now with what we're having with our Series 3, you make it so that you eliminate other stuff that you needed to have before. And so we talked about how like all these disparate systems is painful. So with Series 3, you go, oh, like I actually maybe don't need to have that Raspberry Pi anymore, or that Jetson Nano anymore
right.
for the system that I'm building. And then also, oh, I don't need to actually use that that other say like cloud layer that I was gonna be using. So the idea is
Yeah,
that for us, right, for the whole tech stack that should work well from the cloud all the way down to the firmware and the hardware. And then yeah, so we want companies that are stay targeting like the home consumer robotics market or just all kinds of industries that it's going into. But it seems like, to be honest, like every week there's like a whole new application where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, robots can be used to help with that and help solve problems there. So yeah,
yeah,
that's what we want to highlight with this, and where we're going to go is like as an organization, we really aggressively try to cannibalize each one of our series of models. So our Series 2 of products that we launched basically this summer, it's already outselling our Series 1. And then for us, with
nice.
Series 3, we want to repeat that. And then just because we're nuts and we're suckers for paid, we're already working on our Series 4 of products that will hopefully launch at some point later next year.
One of the I'd say like the Luxonis team is like one of the best I've seen outside of probably like Apple, who's obviously doing like an amazing job with, but they have billions and billions of dollars of like navigating this whole like supply chain crisis. And just curious, like how have you guys seen that evolve over the last like 6 months or so? Like has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? Is it still like a cluster? I guess I could say clusterfuck.
Say whatever you want. It's our show.
How's it doing? Yeah. Yeah, how's it going overall out there in the hardware world?
Yeah, it's interesting. The constraints that have happened over the last couple of years, in some ways, have been an advantage for Luxonis. I think that there's some organizations or teams out there that have kind of fallen victim to kind of like, oh, woe is me. We designed this great product, components out of stock. Oh, bad. Oh, well, too bad, so sad. We'll have it when it's ready.
Yeah.
And so for Luxonis, we've been really diligent over designing around components that go out of stock. So for some of our like top models, like we'd have for this one here, we created several designs to be able to work around like what component might be available.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we've had to do from an engineering process, which is completely different from how it worked like 5 years ago, is design engineers, instead of like designing it, prototyping it, and then locking in the design, mass procuring it, and then mass producing it, you actually kind of flip the script. You basically go, first, we're going to go purchase all the components that are available out there, and then just being confident enough that we can come up with a design that can make it all work together. So actually the purchasing comes first, and then a lot of the final design stuff comes later. So for example, with Ray, we've already actually, some of the 6-month lead times for components that go into it, we've already purchased. Even though we don't have, call it full 100% confidence today that they're going to work. So that's been an advantage for us with the situation going on with supply chain, but it's not pleasant. And so the last 6 months, things have started to improve. There's two big areas that's happened. So one is that there is some increasing supply out there. So something that previously maybe was like a 6-month, 12-month lead time, all of a sudden there's some people that are like, oh yeah, actually I have this and I have too many of them, and would you be willing to take these off our hands? Where instead of having to do cash up front to get something 6 months from now, like you can get it much sooner. So that's a benefit. I mean, that helps everybody. And then another big thing is just logistics, right? So logistics has had some really painful stuff this year. We've shipped product to nearly 100 countries in 2022, and there's just like all kinds of nightmares that have occurred around the world. So things are showing up places faster, and then rates for getting product to customers are coming down. So those are good benefits where, just the customer experience that we can offer for getting product to people is really a lot better. And that's probably like, when you look at things like, Kickstarter campaigns, customers there are like rightfully very demanding, right? You're an early backer, you want your thing, you want it to be perfect. From past campaigns, like logistics has actually been a challenge, right? Like, how do we get this to all these products? We're trying to sell this around the world. How do we deal with customs, getting on time? So we're seeing a lot of improvements there. And from what we read and what we're hearing, early signs, we think that is going to continue. In particular, there's a lot of components that are out there that there's an oversupply. And so that benefits us for sure.
Let's go over to maybe we'll talk about the past and then some predictions for the future. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
I've got a question for the past here myself. I've done a lot of marketing work over the years, and I think last time we talked before you were on my show, Bradley was at a trade show at AWE here in California. Didn't we run into each other there?
Yeah, that's right. San Jose, I believe. Right by the new stadium. That's right.
The convention center. Yeah. I was wondering if you had any safe to broadcast trade show stories for the audience out there.
Well, so I mean, my trade show experience at Luxonis has more or less been my mind melting as I try to learn the technical details of our products, pitching customers, and then the customer walks away, and then the engineers on our team tell me all the things that I screwed up. Going, okay, got it, and then trying to get it going. Okay, I hope whoever I talked to didn't take me too seriously to believe what I said. So the trade shows at Luxonis have been really exciting for me, a big learning opportunity, and getting into a space that I'm new in. Historical stories for trade shows, So one thing I used to do at my old company is I actually really didn't like trade shows because for us exhibiting, because I didn't want anybody to see what we had in the cooker, and so I wanted to keep it secret. So sometimes I would drop in at trade shows. And I would use somebody else's badge. So I'd take a badge from somebody that had like it would be a name that would be probably clearly not my name. And I would go into booths of competitors, and I'd be like checking out their product, and I have kind of like the badge turned around, and I'd be asking like 21 questions. until some of them finally started to catch on, and they'd see me and be like, "You out, get out of here now."
Yeah.
So that was an old tactic that I used to use at trade shows.
The previous startup we were both at, yeah, we used to have some big booths, and yeah, have some people. I think my favorite guest. I don't know. I have two favorite guests. One was John Carmack checking out our 6DoF tracking, which was pretty awesome, and then the CEO of Foxconn coming by our booth with Terry Go, and then wearing a hat that said, his badge said something like secret, but then his hat said Terry Go on it. So we're like,
that was like,
hey,
wasn't it the same day?
Yeah.
That was like the same
that
day.
Might have been the same day. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was we had a lot of fun with that one. But walk us through, like, how did you actually end up at like hooking up with Luxonis?
My undergrad that I did, I met our founder, CEO Brandon Gillis there, and he was studying electrical engineering primarily, and I studied mechanical engineering, but we had quite a bit of overlap, particularly when it came to like mechatronics, which was kind of my passion and focus for my undergrad. Now when I graduated, I didn't actually go into that field, but I always thought, oh gosh, there's just such cool stuff, right? So I mean, this is back in 2004, and you're able to create autonomous vehicles that do all kinds of stuff. At the time, it would have been like, oh, like who knew it'd still be 20 years on before we'd be able to start to really tackle things like autonomous cars.
Yeah.
But so the kind of my story is I ended up kind of doing kind of career swerve and went into manufacturing. So I worked for a manufacturer of kind of mechanical safety type of components for 9 years. And it really kind of cut my teeth from the business side. So I joined as an engineer, but then ended up kind of doing all the other stuff, like the operations, sales, marketing, product, things like that.
Awesome.
Tends to happen in startups. You end up wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah, definitely. True. So yeah, we were a small company. I think when I joined, we had like 30 people, and then by the time we sold, I think we were up to like about 200 people.
Wow.
I think our revenue grew about like 10x, during that period. So it was cool to be able to be in an organization like that pretty early, and then luckily I had like good mentors there where I was able to just like pretty much every year or two, I was like, okay, it's time. I want to move laterally again. Like keep moving me across different parts of the org so I can try to learn as much as possible. And then from there, I lived in downtown Seattle for a long time, and my condo was like slowly but surely looked like it was getting eaten by Amazon offices. So it was like, okay, who's this Amazon company? And I had some friends that worked there. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, I felt like I knew I wanted to go into kind of a technology startup, but I didn't feel like from the manufacturing background that I had enough experience from the kind of the technical side. So I joined Amazon, spent 3 years there, which was great. The first year and a half, I absolutely loved it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is just like a playground. And then the last year and a half, it started to kind of become more and more of an issue where like I'm at my best when I'm at kind of a small company that's being, growing and building. Like that's what's most exciting to me. And kind of like a bigger corporate organization isn't what's best. So the story of me joining Luxonis is last year I invested in Luxonis as an investor in a round that Luxonis did, and I got to reading about it. I've been following it for a while, but I got to reading about a lot more of the details, and it was just like, gosh, this opportunity is too great to pass up. So I was like, hey, Brandon, can I join this thing full time? And so I was able to join back in February, and that's kind of the story of what led me to Luxonis.
That's awesome. Yeah, funny stories. Actually, the first time I met Brandon was at the founder of CEO of Luxonis was we realized that we'd met each other like randomly at the climbing gym where I think I helped belay him or something way back in the day, or something of that nature back way back when. And then I met him later when we were just in the early days of Luxonis. But it's awesome. Glad you're there. It's like seems like things are looking good. And actually maybe switching to like the future, like some predictions for the future. I'd say Luxonis probably has one of the best views across like the robotics industry. Having working on this robotics vision made simple mission. And what are some of the bigger areas you already see getting automated or being augmented by robotics? And like, what do you see if you were to kind of predict over the next 5 to 10 years? what are the ones that you see as like lower hanging fruit and becoming more automated over time?
It really does seem like a Goldilocks moment for Luxonis from a couple of dimensions. One of that is that the capabilities when it comes to the hardware and software that's out there for like artificial intelligence and computer vision, it's just the improvements are just so fast. It's pretty incredible to try to keep up with. So the types of devices that we're selling are going to continue to get more and more capable. They're going to be more and more, powerful. There's going to be more and more problems that they're going to be able to solve. And then the second bit is that, we're in, maybe a recessionary environment, yet there's still, 2 job openings for every person seeking a job. And so what we find from, enterprises is that even though they might be pulling back spending in other areas, they're saying, look, like we need to automate and we need to get more efficient. So thinking about it in economic terms, you're kind of going like, how do we actually get places like America and Europe and the whole world really, how do we actually unlock improvements in productivity? And I think those productivity gains are really going to come from robotics. I think some of the obvious ones that you're seeing now, where there's a lot of advances, a lot more efficiency, is going to be things like retail and warehousing. And so I think things like retail, warehousing, and logistics, of just getting goods to people, I think that is really where you're going to see a ton of automation. So we're doing quite a bit in the warehouse space, quite a bit in the kind of the retail, autonomous checkout type of space. So I think that's going to be a big one for sure. And probably, I'd say that's the one that I'd say is probably top of mind right now.
It's exciting to see. Yeah, and I agree. It seems like it's the right moment for, there's a bunch of factors, but there's even just the factor of, like aging populations is another one that I think is an interesting one, like managing that whole wave, like both from that has 2 effects for robotics, like there's less people in the workforce to do certain jobs, and then 2, those elderly people are going to need more care, and there's not enough people to just do it all. So augmenting the like elderly care, workforce with robotics, I think is another one that's I'm pretty excited about. But yeah, I think the vision part is a key part that is definitely not a solved problem, and I think a lot of people take that for granted. So it's interesting to see how this will unfold.
There's kind of like 2 really exciting competing ways that people are approaching that kind of problem. So one of them is getting quite a bit of buzz lately is like humanoid, but then the other is really just a device that really just kind of tackles the here and now kind of problem. And so we actually really like that we get to work with both types of organizations. So some are like, oh yeah, this is going to be an all-purpose robot that could like do everything that say an elderly person would need around the home or like at a nursing home, for example. Yeah. And then also some that are saying like, okay, like we just want to automate something really simple, like making sure that we dispense the right medication into somebody's room each day, right? So you go, okay, like how can we use computer vision to make it so that we can detect whether the pill is safe to be consumed before we dispense it? We're dispensing the right ones, people are actually taking them, right? And so it's an example where you kind of have like the here and now of like a really like discrete, well-bounded problem like that, which is just trying to get people to take their medication, to then ones being like, okay, like how do we, get somebody to be able to do all this stuff around the house? So yeah, I love being able to see those in parallel and getting to kind of see where we're not like placing a bet on one horse for how that kind of play out. And the reality is, I think there'll be winners going both ways, right? For how that kind of automation will work.
Well, thanks so much, Bradley. Yeah, Phil, any other last questions?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. It's a super exciting time for robotics and computer vision, and I think Luxonis has got one of the strongest positions in the entire industry, despite how many folks work there before we go? What's your head count these days over at Luxonis?
Yeah, so we are up to, I think the latest was 67 people. And for context, I think 58 of those are engineers.
Wow.
So we are definitely an engineering first company and culture, which
seems like the right percentage to me. If it was closer to lots of companies these days you see are closer to 50-50, and they're not doing so great right now. So Vikas, you want to take us home here?
Yeah, thanks again, Bradley, for joining. And for everybody watching, thanks for watching the show. It was super awesome to have Bradley, COO of Luxonis, on the show. If you're looking to back an awesome robotics project, check them out on Kickstarter, and have an awesome day wherever you are.
Well, that's RAE on Kickstarter. You've got until sometime in December. So,
that's right.
Happen.
Awesome.
Take care, folks.
Thanks, Bradley. It was awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great.
Bradley, 2 shows Dillon.
Oh yeah, he was on the Open TV show as well.
That's right.
Nice.
I was like, wait, I recognize that guy. I was trying to not ask the same questions we asked on that show, which was tough because it's an hour long.